Okay, so trying to decide if I'm going to kick the dog out or not. Okay. Hello and welcome to the ISD PTSA Special Education webinar. It is our February edition in our series. Today joining me is Dana Bailey, the Assistant Superintendent of Special Services for Issaquah School District. Welcome back, Dana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So this is an ongoing series of recorded webinars where we answer 3 to 4 questions from the community regarding ISD special services. Our goal is to provide families with special education students a resource for answers to common issues across the community. If you have questions that you would like answered in a future webinar, please email them to special-education@issaquahptsa.org. And we encourage you to join our Facebook group, which is the Special Education PTSA Network. If you look up that, you can find us on Facebook. So jumping right in, Dana, recovery services has been a recurring theme for the last few seminars. And I know that they are, meetings have taken place and special services have started, and your team has been working very, very hard to get things organized and running. Just give us, a general update on how that's going from your point of view.
So February break recovery services are well underway. We've about 200 children coming in ages 3 through 21 for February break recovery services. And it has been interesting to plan such a large event, trying to make sure that we have all of our pieces in place. The staffing has been a moving target to try to get people able to and in town to teach the classes. So that's a bit of a moving target, but we're ready. And we're super excited to see what the impact is for student learning with 16 additional hours of school for about 200 Issaquah students.
Excellent. So I know there are several options for recovery services. If the times available that were offered by the school don't work for a particular family, is there a way that can be resolved? Are there other options that might be available for individual circumstances?
Sure. So there's 2 things at play here. One is the availability of a staff member to teach the recovery services because we cannot command them or require them to do it. And the second is being outside of the teacher workday. And so we call the Sandbox. The Sandbox is after school, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, February break, spring break, and summer. So those are the options that we are able to work with. And if none of those options work for families, I don't have a solution at this time, but I would say to keep talking to the case manager and see what we can do. For an example, over February break, I was able to arrange some families to take their child for their PT services, which I couldn't offer during February break, over to the clinic. And so sometimes fine tuning works, but the options we have available to us at this time are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after school, February break, spring break, and summer school.
Excellent. I've heard some feedback from the parent community at the secondary level that recovery services time might look to the parents or feel like to the parents like more like a study hall than having specific lessons being taught. Have you, is that something that you've heard of? And should students be working towards specific goals during their time? And then the second part would be, how is progress going to be measured to determine the success of the services?
Sure. So as a person who writes some of those SDI lessons for the secondary schools, I can see exactly where this is coming from. So if a student had a goal in organization or behavior or work completion or task initiation, we couldn't really go back to COVID times and organize those lessons and work in organization on things that are all now gone. But we can work on the skill of organization through the current work. And so it was very tricky, and we had some false starts on how to think about writing specially designed instruction for students who had those types of skills. So I think we've found sort of a sweet spot of saying, well, your current work is the work that we're going to work on, and we're going to practice the skill of being organization through doing your current work. And so, yeah, I can imagine it would look like a study skill or a study hall or time to do homework. It is also a time to do homework and a time to get teachers' help. So if that's helpful to the child, it certainly is a good use of their time. It's also true that in the middle school, the kids are often waiting for the activity bus, which is 90 minutes after school. So if they stayed for 30 minutes of recovery services, they would in fact have 90 minutes of supervised time to just do study hall. So I can see how parents might see it that way. And sometimes what the student reports is happening in after school time isn't always the whole story. And then they should absolutely be seeing especially design instruction lessons, things that look more like class times in content areas such as reading, writing, and mathematics. So I would dig a little deeper and ask the case manager, maybe could you tell me a little bit more about what is happening in recovery services? And another way for parents to know what's happening in recovery services is to take a look at the progress reporting. So in the recovery services meeting, there should have been agreement as to when and how progress was going to be reported. Some very familiar examples are every 6 weeks, an email to parents to say, we've been working on this. That would be another way to check in on what's happening during the recovery services time. But I do see what the parents might be reporting, which is it looks like homework, because if the student's goal was a thing that you can't replicate from COVID times gone by, we would be using the current work to practice that skill.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And as always, most of the time, the person's first stop would be their case manager. And if that recovery services meeting happened several months ago, certainly another conversation on reviewing what the goals were and how the progress would be noted. Now, if like, so for example, February break is the first time that recovery services has started, having a conversation, either email or phone with the case manager would be the best way to go, right?
That is always your first stop. That's a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that update. So I know that staffing is very turbulent right now in ISD as well as everywhere. And the student population in special services often has a difficult time adjusting to change. Just wondering if there is a standard process for a transition if a classroom teacher leaves and a new teacher is brought in like during the school year. And is there any way for parents to give feedback or discuss difficulties that their family might be having with that process? And, who would they reach out to? What's the best way to reach out?
Yeah, I think that's really important and made even more important this year with COVID and the large number of other transitions that kids and teachers are being asked to do with classes being shut down for COVID or just contact tracing, et cetera. So the standard procedure in all cases for a known long-term sub. So somebody else is coming in, is going to be picking up the teaching for a period of, whatever, 4 to 12 or the rest of the year. Doesn't matter, a certain number of weeks. The standard procedure would be that the exiting teacher and the incoming teacher would get 2 transition days to work together so that the exiting teacher could hand off, like, these are my classroom rules. This is how we do things. This is where you're going to find everything. And the new teacher could have some time to observe how things are supposed to go and be able to pick it up and move it forward. It's not always happening because COVID sometimes makes a bold move and people are out immediately and for a long period of time. And so that is the goal. I would say about having an opportunity to discuss how that goes. If your child got a new teacher by surprise and you didn't see it coming, is to reach out to that new teacher. The principal is very likely the one to send a message to say, hey, Miss Bailey, your child's getting a new teacher. Here's the new teacher's name. This is how long we think they're going to be here, is to just send an introductory email to the new teacher and say, my name is Mrs. Bailey. My daughter is in your class. Here's what I think you should know about her, and here's how to contact me. So just an introduction. If you have questions about the process, that's probably a building principal question because they manage incoming and outgoing long-term leaves, short-term leaves. The part about COVID that makes it very hard is sometimes people have to sit out longer than they want to. And the COVID mitigation rules are for teachers. They are not to come in when they're sick. And that's how we are been working on keeping COVID in small numbers, but it is very hard. And I think students with disabilities sometimes have a harder time flowing through transitions like that. And it's important to keep open communication about when it's really, really impactful on your own child and who you talk to. So from a system standpoint, it would be reaching out to the principal. If you get a new teacher and you weren't anticipating that, an introductory email to the new person to say, here's our story, and here's what makes my child tick, and here's what makes them be successful at school.
Very good, thank you. So in the past, we've talked about how families are sometimes uncomfortable with the IEP process, and sometimes it feels like an us versus them situation versus a collaborative team effort. I know your team has been working on a way to kind of open communications with the parent community on that topic. Can you give us an update or some details on how that's going?
Sure. So Dr. Jamison Moore, the elementary special services director, is taking the lead on this project. And I have dates on my calendar for a series of either 6 or 8 listening sessions that will start. The first one is February 22nd. No, February 28th. And I know he has a plan. He's done some research about how to open up a discussion with strong listening skills and not have it be a repeat of IEP meetings where the parents don't feel free to share. So he's got some great ideas about how to solicit the information. And I would be very happy to invite him to meet with you on the next video session so he can speak to that a little bit more closely. It would be great to get him out in front of the community as well. But I know they are planned, and I don't know the communication plan to get those listening sessions out to families. But I believe that the cycle is one during the day for families whose kids go to school, and that gives you an opportunity to participate in an important meeting like that, and an evening one on the same day. So there'll be a daytime opportunity and evening opportunity. And Dr. Moore has a plan on how to seek information that will improve our practice to move towards our shared goal of a true and genuine collaboration around the students' program plan success.
Oh, that sounds great. I will definitely look forward to hearing more details, and we'll certainly work with the school district to make sure that the special education community knows about those. The timing, we'll send that out through our email system, and maybe do a webinar with Dr. Moore. Just to clarify though, even though he is specifically, his job is around elementary, the listening sessions will be across all levels, correct?
Yes, and I think that's why there's many sessions scheduled, is that there'll be some with targeted audiences, and I will invite Dr. Moore to come tell you his plan.
Terrific. That sounds fantastic. Well, that's everything that I have for today. We're looking forward to more in the future, and I thank you very much for joining me. We hope that the information has been helpful to you all watching out there. Again, if you would like to suggest questions or topics for future webinars, please email special-education@issaquah.ptsa.org. And we always welcome everyone in the community to join our Facebook page. You can find that by searching Issaquah Special Education PTSA Network. Thank you very much, Dana, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, thank you. Have a terrific day.
Okay. Yippee.
I did not hear your puppy make any noises.
Oh, good, because she was making